Welcome, internet and everybody, and we are back with another episode of the Just No BS podcast. As always, I'm your boy John, and of course, I'm joined with my two co-hosts.
Dev?
And Cal.
And as y'all probably noticed, a couple of us here are in a little bit of a different locations. Things aren't normal. It's fine. Some of us are taking an early vacation. My autofocus is continuing to jack up on us, but we do what it do. So, it's been a couple weeks. And in typical fashion for us, every time we take a week off, we got to have a couple technical difficulties, but we'll get through it. Y'all will be all right. We're going to have a good time. So, fellas, as always, I like to start things off by saying, what's new?
Go, you go first.
What's new with me? I mean, still job hunt, man, for real, for real. Um, looking at some certifications I can knock out. And I'm pretty much down to three that I can get knocked out within the next week. So that's cool. I'm happy about that. Um, Currently I am in where are we? In Pompano Beach. We came down here because Ryan Coogler broke down the many ways to watch the movie, and we were in Atlanta, and they didn't have any theaters that had the IMAX version. So we had some personal, like family stuff to do as well, and it was just kind of kismet. So we were like, why not? So we down here at a resort, um, saw the movie, enjoying everything. Other than that, oh, the thing that I'm like on the minor side, very proud of myself about. The new NCAA is coming out in this summer, like July, I think. I was like, you know what? I never made a FAMU dynasty. I never played with FAMU. I imported the team from the team builder online. Shouts out to the HBCU grads who took the time to put all the HBCUs in the game. I did it. I just won the Sun Belt Conference Championship, and I'm playing Ohio State first round of the playoffs, baby. It's been a great week for me. I can't lie. It's been great.
If only trades and, managing stuff were that easy in real life, all the teams you care about would be winners.
Right?
Yep. And Shedeur wouldn't have dropped down to the fifth round. Never mind. Never mind. Never
No, we can talk about
mind.
it. We can talk about it. You know
Mm-mm.
what? We're gonna add a we're gonna add this little quick caveat to our little spreadsheet here.
While you're doing that, not a sponsor, but Cal, if you're looking for anything when it comes to added training and stuff like that, that's also free,
Mhm.
try Allison.com. It's a good website that has pretty much as many trainings as you can probably think of.
Okay.
Now, to get the actual certification afterwards, you do have to pay like a small cost for it,
Right.
but to actually just go through the training itself and get the knowledge, it's free. Something I recommend to a lot of my clients.
And it's Allison, Allison.
One L.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Once again, they
Again,
are
not a
not a
sponsor.
sponsor.
However, hey, look, if you want to, throw some money our way, look, I'm just
Hey,
saying.
I'll write great reviews, by the way. I'm excellent.
I get good commercial voice. Y'all need some commercials. I got you. All right. So, uh, what's new with you, Dev? Before we kind of talk about what's new in the world.
Uh, Busy as always. Due to the nature of my job, things that are happening in the world when it comes to politics directly affects how busy I am on a regular basis. Um, it's pretty chaotic right now. That's all I can really say without giving too much info.
Yeah, and here in the Just No BS podcast, we do not violate NDAs or any kind of legal agreements. So therefore, we'll be moving right along.
Hmm.
And to be moving right along, worst segue ever. Kanye West is in the news again. At
Can't
this
this guy
point,
just chill out for like 2 seconds?
that's not in his nature. So I don't have a PG-13 way of saying this at all, but this man literally went on a Twitter, X, whatever y'all want to call it, rant and promoting his new song Cousins. Cousins, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Talking about how he from like what 14 was sucking his cousin's dick. I don't why? We don't need to know this. To be fair, once again, your personal orientation is completely up to you. I got no problem with that, but it's why the incest though? And the worst part is this is a double whammy because we're talking about Kanye. So one, I can't even tell if it's true. Two, if it is true, your family's kind of fucked up. What the hell? And three, what the hell? Why do we need to know this?
To be,
So,
go ahead,
oh,
Bill.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I don't know. For me, yes, the topic needed to be brought up and everything. It needs to be brought up to the general populace, like, hey, we need to kind of talk about these things. We need to kind of put that out and make sure that people are aware that these things kind of happen. Uh, I feel like Kanye might not be the guy to actually bring up that topic, though.
There's no might
And
about
how
it.
he brought
He's
it
not the
up,
guy.
yeah, yeah. And the way he brought it up, I'm like, I don't know.
I'll be fair. Um, with most serious topics, Kanye is just not the guy to have
Mhm.
the serious conversation with. Let's be honest and comb all the way back to the George Bush doesn't care about black people days. He kind of has a propensity for the shock and awe, catch people off guard. But I guarantee you, if somebody would have tried to have a substantial conversation with him about the policies and politics of George Bush and everything else like that, and why he felt like that at the time, he would have been a bad person to have that conversation anyway then. So we've allowed fame, success to compound not only his narcissism, but his psychopathy as well, to where it only makes it worse at this point. Um, I will, I will go out on a limb and say this does not. It's not even out on a limb. This doesn't surprise me. Him doing that because there were rumblings about him being bisexual in the industry for years. Another one of those open secrets. A person who does not joke about being gay. Again, what Jay-Z said. I don't care if you're gay or not. I don't care. But when you try and hide it and do like these cloak and dagger, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is it called? Velvet glove, the whole situation. I think that's weird. Method Man was on some radio, something, or was being interviewed years and years and years ago. And he was talking about being at like a party or like a Diddy party or something. And he just randomly was like, yeah, Kanye was at the party. He was sucking dick in the bathroom. And he let it sit in the air. And if you know Method Man, you know Method Man doesn't joke like that. Period. He doesn't like. He's not a Kevin Hart. Like
Yeah,
this
he's
is a serious man. And he let it sit there for a while, and everybody was kind of awkward. And then once they started to like try and transition, he was like, "I'm just playing." Said it just like that. I'm just playing. You don't play like that, Method. What's the truth, brother? So again,
it's not his
I'm not.
character.
Yeah, it's not in your character. There were also rumors about him allegedly having some type of European fashion designer lover as well. This is as recent as 2017. So again, the incest thing needs to be talked about. Yes, that's a very tough conversation that we as Americans need to have because Lord God, you would think that this was British royalty in the South. It's not. Y'all are just having sex with your cousins. Nobody's getting rich off of this. And then on the other side, Kanye is never the person to talk about anything that requires a degree just to observe and communicate it to the public. He is not the guy to talk to about geopolitics, Jewish history, the, the implications of society when it comes to what the world was looking like in Germany in the world war. He's never the person to talk to.
Mhm.
But alas, here we are. A conversation must be had, but he should be excluded from it, respectfully.
Wasn't this man? Didn't this man say that he don't read? Like, or am I mixing him up with someone else?
No, that was J. Cole. That was J. Cole.
Mhm.
J. Cole
Mm.
was the person who said he didn't read when he said something. He said something sly to a woman rapper a while ago, and she was like,
Oh
you're like a
yeah.
fake revolutionary. You don't even read." He was like, "Real nigga ain't gotta read." Something stupid like, but yeah, nah. Kanye don't read either. He don't read either.
Either he don't read or he don't comprehend. Either way, this talking about this man for the last 5 minutes has already been too long. So we're just gonna keep it pushing because after my dark twisted fantasy, that man's been his own dark twisted fantasy. So moving on
Yeah,
to another topic of discussion for the black community. As soon as my autofocus wants to agree with me, Tracie Ellis Ross was on Michelle Obama's podcast, of all things, and she was talking about how she likes to date younger men. Now, for context, for you weirdos out there that want to just jump on the fact that it's like, oh, why are you dating all these younger men? She's 52. She explained in a podcast that younger men to her is like people in their 40s. So we're not talking, Leonardo DiCaprio here. So let's just make sure that context is laid out before we continue this conversation. We're not talking Bill Belichick here. I'm just saying, let's, make sure we have a basis for this conversation. So yeah,
mm.
what y'all think?
I think it's completely fine, honestly. This is where the because I saw the piss pillars as well, trying to like they hate Tracie Ellis Ross, period, point blank.
Uh,
Um, because she is proof that what they're spewing about women getting older, losing attractiveness, you're gonna wish you had a man one day, is she's flying in the face of their bullshit and they don't like her. Um, but what I will say that this is a healthy way to romantically like get or operate in that field for real, because at least it's in the same cultural range, if that makes sense. Like they observed the same things that were formative to them. And it's not like this weird thing to where it's like you grew up on uh what is it? You grew up on Speed Racer and the person you're dating grew up on Teen Titans Go. You see what I'm saying? It's like
That's just a no go for me. I don't
that's
know.
what I'm saying. But the
yeah,
next person we're gonna talk about, that is the case.
Hmm.
But it's like at least this is in reaching order. And then once you kind of get past the 30s, like that, those types of age gaps don't really mean anything. Um, and I always find it funny that like, you know, the not so fresh and the not so fit type of people, the uh what is it, the Romanian sex trafficker, those types of people, they don't look at this and be like, oh, this is cool. Like, because this is just on the other side. Because if you're of this age, punching down lower, the women your age who aren't married to you, what are they supposed to do? You see what I'm saying? Like the logic is not logicking for y'all. So again, it's cool. We don't hear any scandalous stuff about Tracie Ellis Ross, respectfully. Yes, she is from like legacy, entertainment blood. Yes, but yet and still, we don't hear any weird things falling out her closet. So I mean, it's fine if it works for her, works for who she's entertaining. I don't care, bro. That's me.
facts. And for additional context, before you go, Devin, I got to listen to that. I didn't watch the whole podcast, but I did listen to that like full section. And she also talked about the conversation came up because she was talking about how she somewhat regrets not having a stable relationship and potentially kids, whatever. Not like to the point where like she hates her life. No, but like
Yeah,
it's just one of those things that could add additional fulfillment to her life, so to speak. And it for me, this conversation should actually be more about the kind of legacy we imagine putting ourselves behind and the legacy we wind up leaving behind. And for a lot of people, those never correlate. And
right.
then in return, their ego, like, the piss pillars out there, that ego makes them think that's what they want. So it's like, are you sure? Are you
Right.
100%? Because a lot of times, all that crap you spew and talk about, you're just trying to fill a gap for something you haven't gotten in your life. So for me, that's the kind of the real point I took from the conversation. Yeah, if you know you're 52 and you're dating someone who's 40, y'all probably wound up seeing the same, I don't know, 2008 financial crisis at the same time. Not a big deal, you know.
Or
But
even
like,
like 40s, like 46, because she didn't like say, oh,
yeah,
freshly 40, da 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 da. Like, it'd be like 45, 46, even 43 isn't that crazy. But y'all be grown ass men, 30 something year old individuals pulling up to homecoming dances. Relax, bucko.
Mm.
Relax.
yeah, and
Yeah, I know.
what kills me is the same week we hear about this is the same week we hear that Bill Belichick is basically getting screwed. I don't know if it's the fun way of getting screwed, but screwed out of his money with this. So, David, you know who
You
Bill
take
Belichick?
my money.
When I'm in need.
The fact that it was a still frame and I heard him say that. Stop like this. Okay, touche. You got me. You got me.
Well done, Devin. Well done. But
I
yeah,
tried.
no, like it's just like the same week we hear about this situation and people trying to comfort her. It's basically the same week we hear about Bill Belichick, who's like what 70, 80.
I think so.
How old is
Yeah,
this man?
I think he's like 70. You have to double check because I'm on the laptop. I can't. You
Yeah,
know.
let me see how old this man is. He is 73 years old, dating a
Yeah.
chick who's maybe a third of his age. She's like 20 something. Like,
His granddaughter, essentially. You're essentially dating your granddaughter at that age.
yeah. And like, apparently, like, it's causing a rift in his family because she might be screwing him out of his money. Again, I don't know the details. I don't want to know the details. It's just gross.
Mm,
But this is the conversation that it doesn't work in the other way. Like, what are we doing?
yeah. And we saw what happened when it was the other way, when it was an older woman going after a young man who was the I forget the young lady's name. She was like a video vixen. She's dating Jalen Green on the Houston Rockets. He's like 20. He's the same age as her son. Literally. She brought her son to his game, and they're the same age. I need y'all to understand how sick that is. Like she's in her I want to say she's hitting 40, she's getting ready to hit 40. That sounds like 21, 22.
Geez, so Jalen Green and is it Drea Michelle? Is this what we're
Drea,
talking about?
thank you. Drea, thank you.
They have a kid together? Oh Lord!
Wow.
Oh, what are we doing? What you got, Devin? I don't.
So,
I
so
need I need a
that moment
moment to
right there.
recover. Take over. I need a moment to
Somebody,
collect myself.
they got a kid together? Like, clip somebody with that. Please.
So, honestly, I'm in the same boat as Cal here. Like, honestly, it isn't that much of a gap and everything once you get past a certain age. Like, once you start getting into your 30s onwards, that gap matters less and less.
Yeah.
You're both going to, generally speaking, be in the same type of mindset, same general level of maturity, same kind of area of your life as well once you get past a certain age. So if Miss Ross is currently looking for someone who is, kind of stable, mature, and, is looking to kind of build a life and everything, then that's perfect for her. You know, a guy in his 40s, ideally, should be at a point where, he's kind of got his finances together. He's got, whatever he's going to do when it comes to his life and any crazy stuff kind of out of the way and looking more towards, maybe settling down and building something that's going to last.
Hmm.
Um, of course, I'm going to look at that with a little bit of a bias because, in the case of my mom and my stepdad, they got married when my mom was in her late 20s and My stepdad was in his very early 40s, but my mom was also in a different mindset at that time as well when I was already alive at that point. So she's looking for stability, and the relationship that she had gotten out of, her last marriage, was with someone that was her age, and it was completely chaotic. So it really depends on what they're looking for. Of course, I'm not giving, people an excuse to go and say, like, oh, hey, I'm in my 40s, 50s. Let me go and look at someone who's 18, 19. No, no, I'm not giving you the excuse. Get out of here. Let me
You
stop
need
that
to
right now.
move.
Hell no,
Like,
no,
no,
no, no.
like, get that out of here. But what I am saying is once you start getting to a certain age, then as long as you're both on the same page, then it works a little bit better.
Absolutely.
I will go and say one last thing. One thing that I like to go and look at is like an old little equation that people used to go and use to go and see, like, oh, hey, should it feel weird, based off the age? Generally speaking, it was supposed to be take the age divided by two, add seven, and then that's about the youngest that you should probably date, and not have society look at it as weird. Of course, that number breaks down at really low numbers and really high numbers. So,
Yeah.
you know, let's not say we didn't. But around the early 20s, the number kind of works. And then at like the mid 60s, it still continues to work. But if we take, Miss Ross's age here and we did that number, then honestly, she could go down to about 33 and still be okay. It's kind of pushing it there. But again, we're starting
You
to get
gonna
into the
sign up, Devin?
30s. I mean, look, look, just ma'am, just hit me up. I'm not gonna say no.
Man, she
For
fine.
for additional context, Devin is nearly 40, so chill.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I guess I could freely say it. For Monday. John, is that cool? Yay, name. Cool. So yeah, Monday was my birthday. And may I,
Mine too.
John? There we go.
So,
So
so yeah.
So yeah, Tracy, just saying, you ever drop by my area, just let me know.
Drop by the area.
Show you what's up. That's all.
Uh, all
I'm,
right.
There's some nice parks around here. We can take a nice walk. Go see a movie or something.
I had
Other
like
things.
3 songs pop in my head. I'm a chew. I'm a I'm
I
relax.
was waiting for you to come. Like, I know you got something.
Nope. Nope. I'm a chew. We're
He's
gonna relax.
saving his energy for the main topic. So before that, we got one more little side topic to talk about. Because to anyone who follows, we're gonna have a little bit of a sports intersecting talk here. To anyone who follows, the NFL draft was this last week. What was it 5 to 6 rounds of drafting players?
Hmm.
And most notably, someone who was projected to be at least a top 10 pick at the bare minimum, top 10 by all the analytics of the NFL statistics people. So it's not me saying it before y'all weirdos come out here. It's them people saying it.
Hmm.
Shedeur Sanders, also known as Deion Sanders, one of
You're
his
right.
3 sons. He should have been a top 10 pick. He fell all the way to the 5th round. Now, this is brought on a large discussion of what happened, so on and so forth. The going typical lame theory is that he was too arrogant in his interviews and they basically wanted to knock him down a peg so he didn't get drafted where he probably should have. Now, I am not an NFL head. I'm more of an NBA fan. Like, give me some NBA stats and breakdowns. I can talk to you for hours. NFL, not really my wheelhouse. It's more a Cal's thing. But he had to step away real quick, so I'm going to kind of take the ball here and bounce it off you, Devin. What you think?
So I think that you are correct. I think it's actually the opposite of what happened with LeBron James' son, where Hey, he kind of got pulled in, not necessarily at a high pick, but it wasn't because, oh, hey, he's bad or anything. And it wasn't because, oh, hey, they needed to knock him down a peg. It was just, oh, hey, he just needs to get some practice out there. In the case of Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, yeah, he kind of shot himself in the foot there and kind of put himself in that spot, in my opinion.
So, from my perspective, FD Signifier did a great video of this. I just would like to cite my point
Sources.
of reference, because I was talking about this while the draft was happening with my side of the family, and then it kept on going. By the time we came down here, I was with my wife's side of the family, and he was echoing some of the sentiments that I was already looking at. Because Jazo may not be a big football guy, I am a massive football guy. I primarily am a high school to college football guy because I'm weird. I'm a poet. I'm a storyteller. I like watching the story happen. And then
Mm.
once you get to the NFL, in my brain, it's like that's the fulfillment of the dream because so many people fall off in between Pee Wee, Pop Warner, high school. Certain people don't make it to varsity until their junior year, and then they have to work, and then they get to college. Some people have to walk. So it's all of these like storytelling elements that I love watching, and then the fulfillment is the achieving of a dream that like what I think it's like less than a half of a percent of athletes actually get to where they actually go professional, which again is like, bro, just stay healthy and don't rape nobody. Like that's all you do. It's just by the time you make it pro. Stay healthy, don't rape. That's all I care about.
And unfortunately, too many of the NFL players have some kind of essay in their past and still get played.
Ironically enough, ironically enough, Shedeur went to the Browns. The Browns have a gentleman by the name of Deshaun Watson who has almost 30 women who have accused him of sexual assault. And the Browns said, we don't care. We'll give you $200 million guaranteed.
I think it's actually like 260, but yeah.
Yeah, guaranteed money. In my brain, my thing is I do not feel like Shador did anything wrong. I feel like he was kneecapped more so by his dad because he was a person who not only had the ability, he knew how to talk his shit, which means he made white people uncomfortable, and he had a long-standing career. Like not just from a player to a commentator, from a commentator to a coach. Like it that pisses white people off. You've pissed off when he got in the league. He's looking at already pissing off certain owners who are in their 70s. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
And I'll be honest, you may not like what I have to say, Jayzo. If please just don't edit this out.
No?
As black people, as black American people pass down ingenuity, creativity, greatness, authenticity, audaciousness, confidence, white people pass down hatred. I know you might not like to think like that, but we're literally within the same hundred. Like, go back. We're going to talk about sinners. Just rewind 100 years. We don't have to go into 18. What was happening in 1925? And then look at who was in power. Look at who they raised. Look at how long some of these people are still alive. And look at what they're actively doing, not only to the sport, not only to the culture, not only to the country, to the fucking world. These racist, these racist, well-off white people are doing that. Jerry Jones is like 80 something freaking years old. He's the reason that the Cowboys can't win a championship because he's weird and won't let go. And they found racist shit on him. And then people tried to sweep that under the rug. No, I am not going to put the totality of this fallout on a young man's shoulders. Shedeur is good. What we've seen from him and what's recorded and documented in college, he's a very good player. He is not a generational player like his dad was, which is fine. There are plenty of white people who've gotten through the door, made their millions, billions, some of them trillions, and utilized nepotism to their benefit and put them in. We are literally living in a country where you had John Adams as a president, and then nepotism worked, and then you have his son become president. You have George Bush Sr. Then you got George W. Bush. You see what I'm saying? That is the most powerful position in the country. And they're openly using nepotism there. So you expect me to accept you being like, oh, he pissed off a couple of people in interviews. The Manning family, the dad played, he put Peyton through, he put Eli through, and Archie's coming through. Fuck are we talking about? The country was built on nepotism and white exclusivity. I'm not doing this with y'all. I'm not. My bad. I'm not the PC person.
To add on what you were saying, let me ask you a question, Caleb, so you can bounce off. I just need the answers. Whenever they describe a quarterback, what do they describe as the quintessential quarterback?
You have to be cerebral. You have to be a high thinker. You have to be in love with the game. You have to be a supreme competitor. Be the example of professionalism and decorum. You have to be, yes. And go ahead, because I know exactly where you're going. Go ahead.
Yep.
Okay.
And also, you need to be in the pocket. You need to pass first. You need to spread the ball. Those are literally the qualities of Shedeur Sanders throughout his whole college career.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. The only thing he does is like to talk and back it up, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yet, we had one of the worst... Again, I'm not a football guy, but in my opinion, one of the worst... Not skill-wise, but one of the worst representations of a number one pick, and Johnny Manziel. And this man, Johnny Manziel, was literally crashing out, drinking, and got into many physical altercations right before getting drafted.
Not just drinking. No. Excuse me. I'm a drinker. I'm a turtle. I drink. It's fine. Sometimes I'll be crashing out when people piss me off. It'd be like that sometimes. Drinking, yes, it can be an issue with certain people. He was doing coke. He was doing coke on camera. He was doing coke on camera. He was doing cocaine on camera. He wasn't showing up to practices because he was so hungover and fucked over from the cocaine the next day. He wasn't going to NFL practices. This is who we're dealing with. And then right after Johnny Manziel, you had Baker Mayfield, who also played for the Browns. The Browns is a cursed organization because Cleveland is a cursed city. It is what it is. But what y'all are not going to do is piss on me and tell me that it's raining. Because at the end of the day, we saw the other quarterbacks that y'all picked before him. And then, if this doesn't prove collusion, the latter part of my statement will. After they picked Shedeur Sanders? No, they picked, not Shedeur, my bad. It was the guy before him. I think it was Jackson. No, not Jackson Dart. Gabriel? I think.
Are you talking about that journeyman kid?
Yeah, the 25-year-old?
Yeah, I don't know his name.
They picked a 25-year-old quarterback before him. Devin, you're not a big football guy. I get it. As far as age goes, you're supposed to be graduating college around 21.
Right.
When you're a quarterback, you're getting hit a lot. Like, your body's taking a lot of damage as a quarterback. They don't really want
Age
you.
matter.
Yeah, age is going to matter heavily. And you're a quarterback, which means you're getting the lion's share of the money on offense, which means you better be the guy. Mm-hmm. They got somebody who is leaving college at the age that certain quarterbacks were winning Super Bowls. And he wasn't even like, I played at FSU for 6 years, which would have been crazy in and of itself. He was going from college to college to college to college to college, not getting a national championship. And they were like, you know what? I want Gramps over there. I want Uncle Iroh to come in
I don't know. I wouldn't use Uncle
Uncle
Iroh because
Iroh, Uncle Iroh would have probably
No,
cooked.
no, no, no.
yeah.
I was gonna say something, but that was a terrible joke. Rest in peace to the voice actor who did that. We're not gonna do that. But just as far as age goes, because you're supposed to be trying to build your team around the quarterback for real, for real.
It's fundamentally like trying to build around LeBron now. You're not
Yeah,
supposed to
like
do
you're
it.
grabbing the person late and then trying to be like, oh, we're gonna build around you, bro. He probably maximum has 5 years left, maximum. But again, alas, y'all are trying to tell me that it's not racist. You're trying to tell me that it's not collusion. You're trying to tell me that it's not some weird billionaire white people being megalomaniacs going on a power trip in front of us. We can all see this. But go ahead. Go ahead.
So I just want to add really quick that yes, more likely than not, there is some type of collusion that's involved in there. I'm not disregarding that at all. That said, as a black man, and as someone who should have been taught about how everything works by his father, I think that he should have kind of played his cards a little bit differently when it came to getting into things.
Yeah, and that was kind of what FD Signifier kind of put towards the end of his video.
Devin is smart. That's why I said FD because I didn't want to
Yeah,
recount what he said. But Devin,
yeah,
he's smart, Devin.
yeah,
He's smart, brother.
yeah. Because that's basically what FD Signifier like. He goes through this whole breakdown, breaks down the history of like football, this, that, and the third. Take that bucket out of it. At the end of his video, probably the last 10, 15 minutes of it, he's like, at the end of the day, I kind of blame Deion Sanders, his dad, because you know what you had to go through to do what you did. You had to do the whole black man. I have to be 2 times or 20 times better to get half of what they got. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you didn't teach your son to play this game better and let him act like a, according to the rumors, I don't know. We still don't even know if it's fundamentally true. But
Exactly.
to taking the assumption, the fact that you still let him act as a nepo baby in these spaces and not play the game better, it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's like having you're playing poker, you have a pair on the field, like you're playing Texas Hold'em, you got a pair, you know you only have a pair, and you're still going all in. Why? No, you fold that hand. You let your chips build up a little bit. You don't just because now you're putting yourself in a more uh, a bad position. So,
Yeah.
like, yes, it's not fair that it's happening to a son when there's so many situations we can go through that fundamentally are worse, and it's not right. He even if you don't think his talent was good enough to get him a first round pick, the fact he went any lower than the second round,
Is insane.
yeah, it's
Right.
it's outrageous.
It's
We know
insane.
something's going on there.
And I will
Uh,
say to your point because I was stepped away, but where Dev, you said like this is the inverse of what LeBron did, but it's because LeBron came in and knew how to play the game, and he was even when he got drafted, he was a white marketing um, white marketing manager's wet dream. It's black trauma porn. That's what they sell during every draft here.
Mhm.
Oh,
yeah,
his
more
dad is gone. His dad is in jail or prison or whatever the case may be.
Cam freaking Ward.
Working so hard, and it was as a result of the benevolence of the white local football coach that he was able to get new shoes and come to practice and da da da. Because they're now like the gatekeepers of not only your dream but your family's destiny. So they can say, "Shut the fuck up and do XYZ, or we're gonna blackball you." That's why you have these individuals who weren't able to thrive under the normal circumstances, like a Cam Newton, because he talked about it as well. Cam Newton doesn't thrive the same way that RG3 thrives. RG3 is on a network syndicated TV show every freaking day. Cam
Mhm.
Newton was getting his out the mud, doing it through podcasts and things like that, independent journalism. He's funding the study and development of young children. A lot of people who went in the draft matriculated through his system because he's actually out there doing. You see what I'm saying? Like that's a different type of contract once you know your wealth. that's the final point. That's the reason why record labels do not like social media. Truly and honestly, they enjoy it for the sake of they can pump things through. Like Drake has been I forget who said, uh, Prince Solomon of Thought Crimes on YouTube, to where he said Drake is Enron. For those of you who know, you know. He is a generational project for the power, like not the powers that be, like off some spookism,
It's the
but like,
Illuminati.
yeah, not that, but off of businesses. Businesses have made a shit ton of money through this man, and they've invested in him to get him into spaces that not only his otherness by being Canadian and mixed presenting would keep him out of, like, they pushed through all of this. That's why last year what happened was so detrimental, because everybody's looking at it like the corporations can't really just shift the narrative anymore. That's why it's so hurtful and so tough for people. Um, we will see what happens, because regardless of what people think, this is the best situation for somebody like Shedeur to be in, as to where he is not immediately responsible for a Cinderella story team. He will literally, because Deshaun Watson will Deshaun Watson again. He will. They're going to get him up out of here. Then the next guy goes up, because the Browns franchise is cursed. He's not going to do shit, but probably the next guy up is probably going to win them 4 games, 5 games, maybe. The other guy that they drafted, he's not going to do shit because he's a fucking idiot. If you know anything about football, he's a fucking idiot. And then by this time, they have been building up a team, which means he'll probably have a year to show how good he is, and then he can fuck them in contract negotiations and be like, I sat behind 3 other guys, and then when I showed up, we got what, 7, 8 wins off some bullshit wild card situation, probably made it to the playoffs. That's what's gonna happen. I'm telling you, because I know sports like this. I know exactly what's gonna happen, and we shall see. We'll talk again in 3 years. We'll talk again in 3 years. I'm telling you. But
Either that, or what my thing I thought was what might eventually happen is that Deshaun Watson is gonna have a better year than people expect, and in return, they're going to ship Sanders probably a pick or two to get other quote unquote pieces, thinking he's finally turned a corner, and then that other situation will be better for Sanders in the long run. Either way, that I don't. I agree with you. I don't foresee him staying with the Browns forever.
The
Not
only thing
without some
I
serious
fear,
shakeups.
the only thing I fear is if he does better than expected, and if he somehow lets it get to his head, because everyone is suddenly paying attention to him because of what team he's on and having those influences around him. I just don't want that to have an effect on him, or get tied to that, because that could ruin his career.
Fair.
You know.
I will say, at least knowing so Deion Sanders with the bravado is one thing in of itself, but at least as a coach of playing football, this is purely on football IQ, nothing else. He will probably steer him in football in the proper way. I'm going to stress that heavily.
yes,
In the sport of
yes,
football.
yes, because Lord have mercy, keep him away from a freaking microphone at this point. Because they said a beautiful thing before we go over to the next joint. Shiloh Sanders is the older brother to Shedeur Sanders, and Shiloh plays defense. Um, for those who know, you know what that means in regards to draft stock. For those who don't know, typically people are looking out for offensive players in drafts when you're a terrible team, because more times than not, this is a scoring league in the NFL now. You need to be high powered. People are oftentimes more so leaning to offensive players to draft. So the better you are, the quicker you get picked up. Oftentimes they'll go, if the quarterback situation is good, they will look at an offensive lineman. If the offensive lineman situation is good, the quarterback is a little suspect, they'll look for like wide receiver ancillary positions, wide receivers, running backs, and they'll pray and hope that the quarterback that they really want for their system is available later on, but they want to get some of the best people off the board quickly. Then it goes to defense because it's an offensive prevalent league, which means there was a situation to where Shedeur was watching the draft. He was streaming it live on like Twitch or something like that. I'm not too sure. He was streaming it live, and Shiloh, his older brother who plays, I think safety, was there. I think safety. Dang, I think he does play safety. Shiloh was there, and he looked over at his younger brother who was getting discouraged, and he was like, "Man, if they're doing you like this, I can only imagine what they're going to do to me." And then they laughed about it together because it was just a meta moment. Just we know what's going on, but like, and Shiloh ended up not getting drafted. Shiloh got an invitation to walk on to the Buccaneers. I need y'all to understand that man Shiloh is going to get a position on that roster because of his work ethic more than anything. He's going to hurt somebody out there because defensive players, we don't have to be super duper cerebral. Like you notice I said we. That was a Freudian slip. I play defense. I'm somebody who I will wait for you to attack, so I know exactly how to hurt you. I'm sorry. I'm chemically predisposed to this. I love playing safety and cornerback and outside linebacker. I love doing that. That man is gonna bust his ass because nobody expects anything from him. And his brother was the highlight reel. His brother was the selling point. That he's going to an organization that has recently won a Super Bowl under Tom Brady. That's what the Buccaneers are. The Browns, they are one of the few teams in sports history to go a full season and not win a game. Like,
All right, so before Cal crashes out here,
my bad. Thank you.
all right, but yeah, no, it's I wish the best for the man because I like, you know how it is. I like seeing black people win, but
Absolutely.
he will have to pick up some game from someone who knows how to play the game better. Like even his dad, for all of his bravado, when you listen to Deion Sanders talk, you knew he knew how to play the game. He added that bravado as a marketing tool, so to speak, so he could play his game, and then he backed it up. So at the end of the day, because the NFL is still an organization that only cares about the product, if he can back it up, he's gonna be fine. He can have the bravado. If he can back it up, it's gonna be fine. But focus on backing it up. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. This is what he signed up for. So, I think that is the perfect segue to get into our 3 body breakdown for the episode. What do you think, fellas?
Sure.
All right. We're going to keep it to the... Here we
ready.
go. All right, we're cooking. We're ready. So, we're going to keep it to the football realm of things, and we got to talk to someone who just got their UNC card snatched away. Shannon Sharpe is in the news once again. He's down bad. He's looking kind of sad. Lakers losing 5.
Exactly. Hoes is musty. Bros is custy. You got Lakers in 5. Lakers in 5.
Loses. Lakers in 5 losses.
Lakers in 5.
So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and break it down because I know Devin hasn't looked into the whole situation. So let me break it down. Apparently, so first things first, the lawyer involved in this is Tony Busby. We all know Tony Busby from the Jay-Z accusations. So his reputation wasn't sounding all that good. And then he represents this young lady. I'm not going to say her name, even though the allegations are public knowledge at this point. I'm just not going to say her name. Just out of, respect for the process. They hit Shannon Sharpe with an accusation, a civil accusation. Now, in the beginning, they brought it to his people directly. If there were no filings, they said, hey, this is the information we got. We will settle with you for such and such amount. Well, let me phrase that. They hit him with the info. Shannon, essentially, from how the story goes so far, Shannon says, I will settle with you guys for such and such amount. They said, nah, we're going to file a lawsuit. We're coming for 50 M's. 50 million. Now, to anybody who knows anything about the last 2 weeks, Shannon's been kind of cooking on ESPN for the last year or so. He supposedly was prepared to be handed $100 million contract from Disney. ESPN. The magical mouse himself was getting ready to hit him with 100 M's. And now it's not going to look like that because the sound bites are out. We don't know if it's AI. The lawsuits have been hit. People are hitting there, throwing out the cards. They're looking like Gambit out there. Just.
Ooh, I'm about to make a name of myself.
Not in a good way.
Hey, he didn't specify.
Said he was gonna make a name.
He said he's going to make a name for himself, and it's not a good one, apparently. So, now to the actual accusations, because that's just the foundation of the timeline. Through Tony Busby, she's an apparently she's an OnlyFans chick, whatever. Apparently, there's a lot of essay adjacent type of rhetoric, physicality, and she essentially said that they were together, and then at some point they weren't, but he was still doing his thing. Here's the caveat to kind of bring it back to the earlier conversation we kind of opened up with. Shannon Sharpe is 45, 50? How old is Shannon Sharpe? Let me just make sure. He is 56 years old. Jesus. I thought he was a little younger, but he is 56 years old. This OnlyFans chick is like 20.
Now she's 20. Now she's 20.
Now.
Yeah, apparently this has been going on for roughly the last year or so.
No. I'm sorry, Jason. I'm sorry. She is 21 now, if I remember correctly. When they met at the gym, allegedly, she was 19.
Exactly. So let me add some more info for you. Let me add. No, you're good. Let me add some more info. As I said, she's apparently an OnlyFans chick, and apparently this whole time she's been doing OnlyFans. So we're just gonna put that in that bucket over here. All right, boom. So now Shannon tries to preempt the situation by putting out a statement where he basically calls the whole situation a shakedown, this, that, and the third. He said that they were going to put out a video and they were going to doctor the video to kind of gain public favor. Lo and behold, Tony Busby and his group of lawyers are like, we're never going to put out that video because it's part of an ongoing litigation. We were never going to do that. But they put out text messages. They put out apparently a voice call recording, and some of the stuff supposedly, because AI is out in these streets, I'm going to leave that for the process of discovery. For anyone that doesn't know, discovery is part of the legal process. These people have to turn over their information. Both sides have to get both information. They got to do all their things. So if it's AI or not, they will hopefully figure that out. I don't care. That's a third bucket. Just putting that over there. Don't give a damn. That's the third bucket. Shannon never denies that they were in some sort of relationship, to say the least. I don't even like that. Seems too nice, but
they was fucking.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm not the political. They was fucking. Mm-hmm.
So apparently, the match that kind of sparked this whole thing was Shannon's other incident through a not Instagram live, where apparently she thought they were exclusive, but here he is messing with some other chick. Again, that's another bucket, a recurring bucket. That bucket just got refished out of the river. It's back. So yeah, all of this is going on, and This eventually leads to Shannon having to take a break from ESPN, and he's not going to be returning until at least the start of the NFL season, at bare minimum. So, any questions, thoughts? Feel free. I feel like if you got a question, I can bounce back and provide.
You missed the quote. Okay, so
No. Hold on. I didn't miss the quote. I did not want to say the quote. That ain't me.
I'm gonna say it. Devin needs to know. We are not sending him out here without full information. Devin, old girl said on the recording, I want you to put me in a dog collar and put a big black baby in me. That got leaked. That got leaked.
Yeah, I was never going to say that.
Man's cooked. It's over.
She then followed up. They were having a conversation. She apparently didn't want to go somewhere he wanted to meet her at, or whatever the case may be. And she was
allegedly.
She was like, I'm not really into that. Da, 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 da. So like, now you're mad at me now. He was like, yeah, it's because you're being a dick to me. I feel like I just feel like you're being a dick to me, blah, blah, blah. And she said, no, I think that you're gaslighting me. And he said, oh, okay. If you say that again, I'm going to choke the shit out you. Imagine, it won't look good. Big black man choking out a little white girl. This is recorded, Devin. This is recorded, Devin. And it sounds like she was recording it. Like, you know how people talk to you and then they take like spaces and it's just silence? It's obviously recorded. She recorded this, Devin. Go ahead. Because these are my hands. All right.
Yeah, so, Devin,
All right.
I'm going to send you this is from Google. I'm not doing nothing ridiculous. I'm just going to show you a screen grab from Google about what's going on. So just take a look at this when you can.
Put that big black baby in me.
Hey, don't repeat that, bro.
Crazy work. It's crazy work.
Go ahead, David. Take a look at that. Take a look.
All right, let's take a look here.
And the crowd waits in silence.
They do. Because why would you assume that the baby would be big? First off, that's crazy.
We're not even going to that. Devin, when you see the picture of who this woman is, what is your first thought? You've been a black man for almost 40 years. What's your first thought?
Almost is crazy. Almost is crazy. Bro, all right.
Yeah.
As if the nigga passed over. As if it was something else beforehand, and he passed over. He was like, almost.
Here's about 100 times a kick.
All right.
Yep. Yep. The situation is like, it's like the stereotypical situation like almost every black man goes through. The first thing I thought of when I heard about this whole situation was like, bro, did you not watch Blackish? Did you not see the...
That's literally what I was thinking with the elevator and everything. That whole situation right there. That is that right there.
Like,
what do you mean?
Yes. All right. All jokes aside now. This is, to borrow one of Cal's...
jokes. I got some more jokes, Jason.
All right. Hold on. Real quick. To borrow a quote you like to use all the time, that is crazy work.
Why would you say this?
So, before Cal goes ahead and takes over and you bounce, and you know, you ask any of your questions to bounce off of Dev. Have y'all seen the... Have you seen the flashback clips that have been going around the internet from the Monique and Cat Williams interviews?
Yes.
Now it all makes sense. Literally, Monique basically called this man out without knowing shit was going on. She was just like, you need to settle down with someone your own age, just to
That's like,
chill the fuck
love
out.
you.
And then Cat Williams basically said, "Nah, brother, I be running from these white chicks." Like, I hate to stereotype this, but until we live in a miracle different version of alternate Earth, until we live on Earth 4022 from a different DC universe or Marvel multiverse, bro, know your lane. All right, Cal, go ahead. I need to recover again. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Again, I was watching a lot of videos talking about this. So the seed of my thought is from myself, but the branches that go off were assisted by individuals that I watch cover this. There is a latent level of dehumanization, excuse me, dehumanization that goes on with successful black athletes when it comes to the South, period. Especially if you're predisposed to go to the league, period. Shannon Sharpe was one of them strong neck, super bicep, fat nose. What did they say? What did they say? 360 dunking, spear chucking, chitlin eating niggas. I know it sounds terrible, right? This is not half the shit that
Horrible.
we know about the recorded audio. I know this sounds bad, right? Imagine what you're gonna hear. Some of these niggas feel like they get granted success through the access of white women's vagina. And I know y'all don't want, not y'all, but individuals listening, y'all may not want me to say it like that, but that's the problem with a lot of these coon ass niggas. They seek identity, they seek personhood, they seek establishment through the vagina of white women because they can't, those that can't get it through sucking white dick, look at Kanye, allegedly. Because a lot of you niggas is gay for the stay, respectfully, and the stay is your own success barometer. So a lot of you niggas be sucking dick, taking it up your ass. I'm not mad at you.
Hey, yo.
Do what you gotta do in your mind. I'm simply saying I wouldn't do it. However, this is what's happening. This is a blatant dehumanization thing. Like race play, I'm not judging anybody up here on this panel, nor am I implicating or alluding to the fact that niggas from this panel may be into that. I'm just simply saying, I do not fuck with niggas who are into race play with white bitches. I don't. I feel like you're weird. I feel like you're weird. I'm sorry. Because it doesn't stop in the bedroom. It's that weird shit that happens in regular life that we have to see. You see what I'm saying? Why the fuck was Jonathan Majors calling a white woman his Coretta?
That's a topic for another day. However, to add on to your point, because I'm not going there.
My
To add
bad.
on to-
My bad.
no.
I've had too much time to think about this, Jay, so I'm ready to like dissect this shit on a microbial level. Like you niggas is weird. Very fucking weird. And it's concerning. Not because I'm concerned for myself, but you niggas are living unscrupulously amongst the public.
And they're also living
Just-
not within the reality. Like, it's. I keep coming back to this almost every episode, but
don't
it's
like
so
it.
much. It's so much ego. That's what it is. It's this. It is an ego to think that your success allows you to do what you want, neglecting the realities of the world we live in. Like, we joke about it with the whole Blackish episode thing, but that is an example of someone who understands the world they grew up in and the world they live in. It's a joke, yes, but at the same time, it has some truth in it. Like, the again, he has not had his day in court. This stuff has been leaked. I am not going to presume guilt or innocence, although it ain't looking good, nigga. But what I will say is that your ego put you in this situation. If you did not lead with your dang ego, you wouldn't be messing with this OnlyFans chick. Heck, you might have been messing with an OnlyFans chick that might have been 38 or something. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, he thinks that his success is getting him somewhere that our society has proven they refuse to let black people have consistently. Why are you putting yourself in this situation? All right,
You need to
Devin,
think
go
you
ahead.
people to
You
white
got a
people.
thought. You got a thought. Kick it.
So I don't have a full thought just yet, but I feel as though when you see people in general, not putting it to any particular race, but just in general, when you see people in power with a large amount of money who get to do whatever they want, looking at, some people in politics, not saying any names, and then you finally find yourself in that situation that you almost believe that the rules don't necessarily apply to you, or the rules of society as they are right now don't necessarily apply to you anymore. When in Shannon Sharpe's case, no, the rules are still there. You still have to abide by them. You got to play by them, or you're going to get slapped down. And things like this are going to happen on a regular basis. You open yourself up to all sorts of different issues because you're not recognizing what's going to happen there. I feel as though the money and the power and the success, the best way I can think of it is it hypnotized him, so he felt like he could do it. I don't know. Thoughts there?
No, no, I agree with you. He felt like he could do it, but this stupid nigga has been so stupid for so fucking long. He thinks that no action elicits a reaction whatsoever. Stop fucking with these children, you weird ass fuck nigga. Like, I don't understand how to say it any nicer. Because I could get into a chicken. I could. You're fucking with a child. This person, as we talked about previously, this person grew up on fucking what is it called? What is my lady like? The fucking anime, the sword nigga, not sword art online, Demon Slayer. You grew up with your chick fucking with Demon Slayer, and you grew up watching Speed Racer. Calm the fuck down, you freaking frog. What are we doing? You're a nasty old nigga who doesn't know how social media works, who does not know how technology works. Buy some cougar pussy, nigga. What the fuck are we doing? Roxy Reynolds is still alive, last time I checked. There's a bunch of porn stars you could have got.
Oh my god.
Bitch, you could have got a descendant of Nancy Reagan. She was sucking everybody's dick, allegedly. You could have done so much fucking better. You got this bitch whose name sounds like a misapplication of an anagram of nigga to do this shit.
That's crazy.
My lion, Jazo, I'm sorry. I do my research. I need to know what's going on. You're a fucking weirdo, bro. You are. Waterboy worked because he was white. Forrest Gump worked because it was white. Both of these niggas is dumb. Both of these niggas is good at football. But they're white. Go ahead. My bad.
I just want to add on to one of your jokes. Look, if your kids grew up on Blue's Clues and your girl grew up on Bluey, then you know what? You have a problem.
You're going to jail, bucko. You're going to jail.
Freaky ass nigga, he's 59. God.
It's the anniversary of all them songs, by the way. It's the anniversary.
If your girl doesn't know what the color of the VHS tape for Rugrats looks like, she's too young for you, man.
If your girl doesn't know how to respond to, I'm tired, Grandpa, you're going to jail. That's what you are.
You know what
If
this
your girl
does?
doesn't know... Oh, one last one. If your girl doesn't know who loves orange soda, she's too young for you.
Bro, all this does is remind me of that one meme where it showed like Yugi's Millennium Puzzle, a Pokeball, a Digivice, and it's like if you don't know what any of these is, she's too young for you. But like, again, I'm gonna cut the joke I'm gonna put the joke down for half a second here. I don't give a damn if it's legally acceptable. It's not acceptable. The ethics of that, horrible. What the hell are you doing, bruh? And thirdly, just on pure logic, do you see yourself go down to any random club of people your age? You walking out with like 8 million numbers. What are you doing? All right, back to the jokes, because what the hell? Like, the thing about this situation is, like, because people are gonna play this whole she's legal thing, not legal thing, whatever. I don't care. Shannon Sharpe had a full deck of cards. He had a royal flush in his hand and threw that shit away. Like, that man had the 7 Dragon Balls and decided not to use them. Like, I don't know how else to put it. This man was living large. He was making money. His star was on the rise.
He literally said a woman's name by name. That nigga Ocho Cinco said, a Christian young lady would do you well. He said a young lady's name by name, not gonna do it. He said, I don't really care about that. Ocho Cinco was like, hey, y'all could be on a jet looking at Bible scriptures together. Shannon Sharpe retorted and said, no, I don't want a saint. I want a sinner. Give me Miss B Nasty. He has all the money in the fucking world and didn't get a porn star. I'm so disappointed in this nigga because I am a soft porn enthusiast. Respectfully. Respect.
That's wild.
That's crazy work.
Judge your mama. I'm not good enough to give star ratings, but I understand what will work for me. Hey, this is not a sponsor. Funny ass Shanice, how you doing? Hey. Hey. You're a beautiful young lady with a lot of things going for you. Upward mobility is crazy. God has a blessing for you. With that being said, you should have sucked Shannon Sharpe's dick and got your money. Because at the end of the day, this is the bitch who's ready to do it. Respectfully. Respectfully. And you went and found this bitch who was playing junior varsity volleyball and then just, yeah, I'm gonna do that. You Jeffrey Dahmer ass weirdo. Lock in, bro. You literally traded your career and money for some underage pussy. How does that feel? It feels childish, doesn't it? That's a pun in and of itself.
Yo, wait a minute.
Hey, yo, hold up.
Yo.
I'm sorry.
For the sake,
I'm sorry.
What?
for this, claps. However, we got some work to do. We got some clean up because we don't, as I like to say, we as regular. We don't got money like that. So for legality's
Inspiration. Can I get inspiration? Come on.
Hold on. I'm gonna get inspiration for cleaning this shit up. Hold on.
Yeah, you're also gonna clean this one up because you got a lot of work to do with that one right there.
Once again, we at the Just No BS podcast, we believe in facts. So therefore, technically, legally, by the letter of the American law, she was not underage. However, hold on. This is this is crazy work. Because
this is what you just said. How does that feel childish, bro?
Nah. Cal had to go through a crash out. That's a Cal crash out right there. But for legally factual information, she was 19. I'm not going to say that is right because it is not. That is crazy ass work. That's freaky ass nigga shit. However, I'm not trying to get sued. So therefore, once again, I will state it for all you weirdos who out there who are ready with the Twitter fingers. She's legal. Now, once again, highlight, underline, exclamation, full caps. That is crazy work.
Man,
you ain't about to catch me on none of that bullshit. That's not right.
Man, I'm stealing that one. I gotta use that at some point.
It
Run
was
safe.
childish, right, Devin? It was childish. Wasn't that childish?
Sir, I see you.
Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking, bro? Somebody said something that was great
Oh.
in regards to this case, to where individuals are like 30, like I'm 31. So like people talking about like, oh yeah, like I'm 30, blah blah blah. I don't even feel like I know a 19-year-old.
I don't.
I don't.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, cool, 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 cool. You went to a bitch who grew up on Bluey looking for a blowy and got taxed. How does that feel?
Yo!
Oh my god. Oh, I was not prepared for that.
My
Oh, man.
bad. I'm here. I'm pissed off because this is last bar, Jason, before we transition. I was talking to my wife about this earlier, to where I don't think men should have um what is it called? What is it called? Damn, I forget what it's called. Idols. Thank you. Idols. Because men have a weird, and I can only speak as a man. I'm not a woman, so I can't speak from that perspective. Like the idols, da da da. Men have a weird thing that happens once the idol retains their idolship for too long. It's a penis envy thing that happens, as to where they seek to protect the idea of their idol beyond any critical thinking. We saw this last year with the Canadian. We did. We also saw this last year with the man who's going up to be president. He feels like he's the best president. I've talked to a few people. He doesn't know he's not the best president. He's not. He's not the best. He doesn't represent the needs of the people. That, do you see what I'm saying? And then it gets to a point as to where your convictions have to come into combat with your crush. And niggas will literally shit away their convictions to get in the purview to suck on some dick. Y'all niggas is weird. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. I fuck with Kendrick. I love his music. I love his presentation. I will never sacrifice my morals to fuck with this nigga, respectfully. I'm not. I'm a nigga who grew up from the South. I grew up loving and admiring Andre 3000's shit. So maybe I'm used to being able to disconnect myself from the artist output. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just have a fucking father in my life. Maybe I'm just used to. You feel what I'm saying? Maybe I'm used to being out in the real fucking world and having siblings and realizing that my siblings can't rely on me modeling another man to show them how to move through the world. I don't know. Maybe I have a healthy upbringing, bitch. But this shit is weird. You niggas is weird. Some of y'all who are listening, because statistically speaking, it's a few of you Tory Lanez niggas in here. You niggas is weird. You're scaring the hoes. And then you wonder why you ain't getting no hoes, because you're scaring them.
And that comes back. It's like it's like a cancer that won't go away, bro. Like again,
My bad. My bad.
no, that's basically your catchphrase of the last several episodes. Mine is this is all ego. Like you think you have a level of you think the level of success you have gives you a level of power that you're not here, bro. You're basically just half a step away from the rest of us. Don't get it twisted. This is why, and I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Shedeur Sanders, but this is why someone like Jalen Hurts, they never gonna catch this man. Cause I'm willing to bet the money. I'm willing to bet a significant part of my money that this man does not talk to the way he talks to the NFL in his private life. Oh God, like this man is just stone cold. I'm here for business. I would bet money that if he was talking to like his family, his inner circle, that's not the way he talked.
No.
That man knows how to hold his deck.
I know a professional nigga when I see one. No, he's going up there. He's not. No, he be calling y'all crackers because y'all are crackers, respectfully. But he knows how to actually produce where he is within his discipline.
Yeah. Like, and I think you can tell, like, He's not gonna let y'all trap him up. He's gonna be like, bet. Like that's the thing. Like, oh, you're not good enough. Bet.
Heard.
Keep it
He
pushing.
wasn't good enough, but y'all trying to outlaw the tush push. Stop it. Stop it. That's
Yeah.
weird. Get some
Yeah.
help.
So, but that's a guy that knows what isn't allowed, and he's not gonna let the nonsense trip him up. Like this is fundamentally something I need some of y'all weirdos to remember, especially if you're of this shade. Y'all gotta remember that we are like we gotta move a particular way, and I get it. Society technically would be better if we all could act in this foolishness equally and get hit equally. It don't work like that though. So therefore, weirdos need to stop. I'm done. Final thoughts, Devin?
No, you hit what I was going to say on the market. And I'm still trying to process, what Cal said there.
You broke
I
Devin.
think I'm done for the rest of the episode.
My bad. My bad.
Like, that was a 404 error in my head. Right? It's just like,
Blue screen, red ring of death.
I'm like, I can't believe you just said that right.
Well, if we were monetized, we would not be monetized
Not at
on that one. But in all seriousness, no. Like the big picture is that we still do not live in a society. Well, first off, we don't live in a society where that is even close to something you could think about getting away with. I'm not even touching that you could. You should not even think about having the approach. Like, Fort Knox that shit. You should, no. We do not live in that society where you, of all people, would get away with that. Secondly, where's your nigga intuition? Like, where did that happen? Because, like, y'all should know better. Thirdly, as a society as a whole, can we stop? Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm looking at you. Stop. Bill Belichick, you probably lost your marbles. You probably got dementia or something, but stop. Just stop.
What happened to all their friends? They had not have friends that didn't say, you know what, no, this is kind of a little weird here. Like, seriously. Just
What
Yeah,
you
bro.
mean, Bill Belichick or Leonardo DiCaprio? These types of people? Do you think that their friends are going to give them salient advice when these are the same niggas in the Diddy parties, in the Epstein parties, in the Island parties? No, it's no respect. My bad. My bad. My bad.
No.
My
So
bad.
I was actually gonna go somewhere very similar. As Cat Williams once said, you really need to get yourself some nigga friends because they will tell you when shit is not appropriate.
that. Just one. At least one.
What did he say? What did he say last year? Them predators move in flocks. And I don't think niggas were internalizing what was being said when it was being said. That's why I was like, I forgive niggas. My bad. My bad. I'm not saying I'm a god whatsoever. But I'm a gracious nigga. I am. Because some people lack literacy. Period, point blank. And we escalated by saying media literacy. So music, movies, TVs, magazines, da 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 da. We'll talk about the media literacy in another topic. But a lot of you niggas is fucking dumb. And I wish the worst of us would stop reproducing so early.
Or at all.
Not at all. But a lot of the worst niggas in life reproduce early.
And far too often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, ironically enough,
Shout out to God.
Facts. Which, ironically enough, is why last episode, when I said Anthony Elworth is strangely consistent, this is slowly proving me right. I never said it was a good thing. I just said he is just consistent because that kid, I don't know who's in his circle, but he is strangely consistent, and Shannon Sharpe could use some of that. All right, time to talk about what we actually want to talk about this episode.
I'll be back. Give me a second. Give me a second, Jason. I'll be back.
Well, Cal's got to, walk away real quick once again, so I'm going to set the scene. Devin, we're just going to start off with a question. Did you watch Sinners?
That I did.
What'd you think?
I absolutely loved it as a movie. Like, I, generally speaking, am not a huge fan of that particular time period. You
I
know?
mean, no black person should be, but
Right. So when I see movies that kind of take place during that time period, then I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm not going to enjoy the movie, because of it, because I know what's going to end up coming up. You know, they're going to be, most of the time, if there's any black character in it, then there's going to be some person wearing a nice little pillowcase, that's going to show up, and I'm just going to be like, okay, cool, I'm going to hate this movie now. Um, this amazing job. You
Ryan
know,
Coogler, sir, you've done it again.
mm-hmm.
This man has made 4 of my favorite black movies, period. Like, sir, you've done it again.
Mm-hmm.
um, all right, let's. At this point, I expect that most people, or if you listen to us, you've probably seen it. So I'm just gonna kind of jump into the messaging and the themes of it. I don't want to. I don't know if we even have enough time to do a whole scene by scene breakdown, but the themes and
Before you do
messaging.
that, I just want to go and say, if you don't want any spoilers, this is your moment now. We're going to give you like a couple more seconds, and all right, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're just gonna jump straight to the themes and messaging. And you know what? For added safety, we're gonna give you another spoiler alert warning now. All right, time's up. So,
You had your chance.
yep, we gave you 2. So, I just gotta say, this movie. I only got a chance to see it once, but this movie probably jumped to one of my top 10 movies of all time instantly. On one viewing, it's to the point where I'm getting the Blu-ray. Like, and anyone that knows me particularly, if I love a movie, you got my support. I will get your Blu-ray. I will see you if I can. I will watch it multiple times in the theaters. I will buy merch, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
To put it this way, I have this movie on my top 10 along with Into the Spider-Verse and Across from the Spider-Verse, both which I have the Blu-rays for. Same with Get Out and Us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of them people that support. So them 67, whatever 100, whatever million it made, my money's there. That said, I just love the and most of the time, a lot of really good movies usually have one core theme. I love the fact that this movie, even though the core theme is about like how music transcends like culture for the most part, it is split into multiple sub themes within this theme, and that's why I love this movie so much already. Like I caught that so quickly, like between like the sub theme of like, well, yeah, music is like the core of the theme, to the point where the reason why the vampire attacks is because of the music. He wants to reconnect to what he had back in the past, and he thinks the music that he sings, if he changes it, will get him there. Like that, and the fact that it plays in reverse at the end. If you saw the end credit scene where Stack and Mary come back just to hear him play music again, just so they can. Like, oh my god, I love that. When I saw that, I was sitting there thinking in the theater, I'm like, damn, Ryan Coogler,
But he could
bro.
never, he could even in his pursuit of getting that, in all actuality, he could not have gotten what he desired because of his existence, which is a different level of like, that's what I be talking about. Like, I don't care how motherfuckers feel. Media literacy be beating the fuck out of y'all because truly you need to understand that there's a situation as to where he's trying to hold onto something that is seeping sand falling between his fingers. Because even if he did transform Sammy, as left out as he was, Period point blank. Rorik or Reap? My bad. I forget the
Yeah,
brothers.
it's like retro. I'll pull it up. But yeah, keep going.
Mm.
As much as he wants to identify with it, because he was one of those people. That's why they identified what they were called in Ireland at that point in time. But he lost that. So he's still in the mind state of thinking, if I get somebody different who can do what I did, I can connect with my people. But the reason that you can't connect with your people is because of what Annie said. You are stuck here. It's over for you, G. You see what I'm saying? So it's a level of like, that's where I I get like, bro, I get super happy and shit like that when it comes to it because it's like this story is telling you a story. And the reason that you may misunderstand it or not fully grasp everything is because of a story. You may not realize that you have been robbed of the level of understanding that could have gotten you to the end point or the desired outcome of the director. Somebody stole that from you. That's where I'm like, damn, this is great writing. This is fantastic presentation. I just saw the IMAX joint down here, like I said, and in my video game brain, when the screen compacted and it was like the regular screen that you would see, like it was shot in the same way that like a Tarantino film would be shot. And then when the Asian woman was like, "Come in, motherfuckers," and then it rose out and the screen went out, it went back to the action. Like it's that level of like playing with your senses, playing with are you paying attention? Did you pay attention when the Choctaw Indians, uh, Choctaw Native Americans rather, showed up and they're like, "Yerp, what's going on?" And there were vultures at the house
Hmm.
because vultures know when something is going to die. Period. Point blank. Did you pay attention to that? Did you pay attention? Like all of it's a layered, bro. It's a layered level of expression that is fucking beautiful, and I don't think people know what this is yet fully. Like they know it's popular. They know that niggas is watching it, and niggas are typically like the tastemakers, the barometers of creativity. And my bad, I'm drifting out the screen. Tastemakers of dope shit, to be simplistic, but not truly seeing what's going on. Like, do you see, even in the history of the United States, Native Americans do not involve themselves when white people become racist on bullshit because they were one of the first people to see, oh, these niggas is fucking stupid. They just on some racist shit. If you think that I'm lying, talk to a Native American that you know.
If you know any
Period.
at all.
They will peep that shit and be like, I'm not even arguing with you. Well, you're not here supporting Trump or Biden or da da da. It's not. I'm gonna go back home. Do you not see this? Do you not see the situation where it's the black people who are actively trying to do something for themselves? They did it the legitimate way. Smoke and Stack could have killed that crack ass cracker in there. They tried to go about it in the legitimate way, and nobody cared. They assumed that the disrespect was warranted and it was justified. He spat on the ground when he talked to him. Every time. Even when Smoke was on the ground, touched the ground trying to see what was going on, he spat there. That is a level of disrespect. If I have to explain that to you, you're a victim. My bad, Jason.
No, 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 no.
Stop me before I rant because I love this fucking movie.
Oh,
I
trust me.
need niggas to know I love this fucking movie.
I'm holding myself back because I had so many thoughts, but I'm trying to let Dev get a chance to go because I see the wheels turning. I know you, bro. I see the wheels turning. Go, please.
So there's one part of the movie where I literally kind of had that aha moment for myself. Because normally when you portray vampires in movies and stuff like that, they are free to do whatever they want and everything. The only limitation is, of course, sunlight and all that other stuff. put into this situation here where you have the people there, all the black people who are free. They are free to do what they'd like and everything. And suddenly you have a guy come there and offer something to them and offer something in the guise of freedom when if you really think about it, he's actually offering a form of slavery in itself because they are now a slave to their desires and once again and losing their souls. That right there, that whole oh hey you're being offered something from someone else from the outside like that, I'm like, that's genius.
And what's also crazy is the layering of that. First of all, the name of the vampire is Remick. I had to double check it. It's Remick. So, what one of my favorite parts about the movie is that Ryan Coogler did his fucking research. From the actual Chinese people that were living in the South to the actual proper use of vampire lore. Like, he blended it all into one cohesive, centralized theme with varying sub themes. So, the fact that he used the fact he used an idea of community in the vampire lore of vampires cannot go through a protected space without an invitation. The fact he combined those things as well as he did floored me. Like, sitting there watching the credits right before the sub credits going, I was thinking like, man, I don't know any other director who could have done that as cleanly as he did. Because, bro, like I mentioned, in typical old school vampire lore, vampires are a form of undead, so therefore they are not considered holy. And to be able to go onto a place like a home, it's considered a graveyard. It's a sanctified place. So vampires cannot cross without an invitation. That's part of the lore. So the fact he blended that with, hey, there's a vampire who's essentially trying to build a community, but what he's offering is fundamentally fake because he doesn't have a soul and therefore can't build real community.
And then even how he let old girl talk to where she was like, we're building another clan. And it's like, I don't think we're here, respectfully. I don't think white people know how often they do that. To where they are actively
exactly where I was going. Exactly where I was going.
Yeah, they don't realize how oftentimes they are co-opting a movement of survival with a movement of comfortability. To where it's like, why the fuck would you build another clan? But she was like, oh, we're building another clan of love and acceptance. And it's like, bitch, no. Because how that looks nowadays in actual application, from day-to-day application, that's Christo-fascism. It is. Because it's, we love you as you are. We love you, but we don't love your sin. Bro, take this from a pastor's kid. I'm telling you. What you think is love is not love. It's performative. They need soldiers upon the ranks. They need cannon fodder. And like they showed you in the movie, a lot of them niggas was cannon fodder. Remy got the fuck out of there. Stack and his lady got the fuck out of there.
When Remy got burned at the end, but yeah.
Yeah, no. When he killed what's my black woman's name? Annie.
Yeah.
They got the fuck out of there. They were like, oh, he's not willing to go. So much so, he will not even take his partner with him. Boom. They got out of there. That's what I'm talking about as to where this is the misrepresentation of community think that's happening in front of you.
And the part I loved is that what it shows is that true acceptance goes both ways. Like, using the movie as an example, if you're truly trying to build a community of love, acceptance, this, that, and the third, right? You provide the offer. If the person says no,
you
like Jesus does, by God, and walk away. You're like, cool. Here's basically, it's what people generally should do when you're trying to convince someone of something without pushing them. Here's my info. I told you what I had to say. If you want to use it, by means, here it is. If you don't, cool. Love you anyway. And that's true acceptance. If that person comes to you and say, "Hey, I like what you're selling. Let's work it out." That's a real community. But what Remnick essentially does is, all right, I'm gonna basically send a spy
Oh,
and fuck you up from the inside.
Jason,
Looks like I think he froze.
I'm here. I'm here. I've been
there
talking.
you go. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, for our viewers, the videos are recorded separately, so nothing should have messed up there. But just to reiterate, just in case, for my fellas here, Remick, instead of truly accepting the offer of saying no, they don't want it, cool, he sends in a spy and uses his power to try to force them into something, which is not acceptance.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point.
And what he said later on to Sammy, to where he was saying, all of your stories become my stories, and all of my stories become your stories. And that's a different thing. That's my bad, because common sense isn't common, which is how I play with words for a living. Common sense isn't common, so critical thinking is beyond y'all niggas' threshold.
That's a bar. Gotta write that one down.
Period. So when it comes to him saying, my stories are your stories, and blah, 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 but there's a situation as black people inherently, we have to protect our shit. Because just because you are familiar with me does not give you access to my craft. Because giving carte blanche access to the craft gives us fucking the richness. I don't know the song, but you know what I'm talking about. The Rich Hammond, maybe, that type of shit.
Yeah.
We do not seek access to y'all shit. We have our own shit. And that's the issue. And that's that all lives matter shit that Remick was actually trying to do. Oh, for one night, can we all be family? Can we all just get along? And then when Cornbread got turned and he came back, and they're like, what are we supposed to be doing? Being cordial to each other. And there's like, bitch, it's survival here. Fuck is you on?
That scene cracked me up. I'm not.
Like,
I ought to believe
That was
that
wild. I was just like, okay.
like, no, respectfully, Devin, I love you like cook food. If you did some shit like that, I'm shooting you in the fucking head.
You know
I'm
what?
shooting you in the fucking head.
Let me put it on record right now. If I do anything like that, do it.
Yeah, I'm
Go ahead,
not.
trigger it. You definitely know it's not me.
Community. This is community. We all here together, and we all. No, shooting you. I'm not doing this. This weird pseudo understanding when you understand that the culture of the cultureless is indoctrination. Like, I don't know how to say it beyond that. This is what they do. They occupy, they steal, they eminent domain you the fuck up out of here. That was the whole thing, as to where at the end of the story, when Sammy was praying in the water, the Our Father, who are the Lord's Prayer, and he said it with him. And then the vampires came and said it with him. And I think that is also one of the parts to where that's why the evangelical individuals have an issue with it, because they think that the word of God stops the devil. When in the Bible that they're supposed to have read this whole time, it tells you that the devil knows the word of God, period.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you don't look at it from a Christianity centered or a Judaism centered anything, we are infinitesimal to the equation of eternity. Wouldn't the devil know God better than we do? So why the fuck do you think that you can use something of God against somebody who knows him just as long and it get off? No. Look at the application. He said, I remember that prayer. When they came and took my father's land, they gave us this. Bro, this isn't my bad. I'm getting mad because I love this movie and I love this, and I feel like a lot of people are misinterpreting this and not really understanding the implications. Even if you want to look at it from a soft application as to where Coogler is looking at vampires like being like Hollywood execs and shit like that. Even there, it's wrong. Y'all are misinterpreting it. That's me. My bad. I'll
All
be
right,
quiet.
Devin. Any other themes you want to break down here? There's so much stuff to talk about with this movie, bro.
So I did want to address when the spirits were brought up, all from different time periods as well.
Oh,
I
that one
love,
scene, the music scene.
yes. Which, by the way, it was an absolutely amazing music scene anyway. But
No other director out could have done that so cleanly. I don't care right now, bro.
mhm.
No other director could have done that so clean. Go ahead, keep going.
But the fact that he was so easily able to show that connection through the ages to people, that I, I'm still trying to find words for that, because that's how culture works.
Yeah.
It's not just a, oh, hey, it was, this little tie right here during this time period and that's it, and so on and so forth. No, it's something that builds on itself and is passed down from generation to generation. So even if you're looking at that moment where, someone had an electric guitar compared to someone else and everything from this, you can still see the full connection there.
Which I think was another beautiful. Like a lot of people thought that the end credit scene, the first one, was pointless. Actually, both of them. Like I saw a lot of people talking about how the two end credits, the end scenes were basically pointless.
Mhm,
For me, I think that solidifies the point of the movie from
mhm.
the blending of the different cultures. And I also love that Ryan Coogler didn't stick to just black. He had the Chinese cultures there too,
Yep.
and how they all and like you said, for me, Ryan Coogler took this idea of that music transcends generations, but he doesn't twist it, but he shows it in a way that goes beyond what we normally think. So, for example, we like to think, oh, black people created blues, so therefore through that we got rock and hip hop, right? But what Ryan Coogler does is goes beyond that. He goes and this is why I think the inclusion of the vampire part was so good. Remick is looking for something that goes beyond essentially the life he's already lived, and just by the way he talks, you can tell he's lived a long life for the most part. In a weird way, Stack and Mary get that back, not from when they get turned. Well, from the moment they get turned, they get that back when they go to see
Sammy.
Preacher. When
Yeah.
they go back to see Sammy Preacher Boy again, when they go back to see him as an old man, and even though Stack kind of starts off the conversation, kind of mocking that old time, played a little bit of time on him, and he kind of takes that jab like, "Can you still sing?" And then Sammy pulls out the old school guitar and plays it just like he did when he was a younger man. And Smoke kind of goes back to a scene in the movie where he's like, "Oh, you can like." He basically has the same expression he did, and it feels like he's something he hasn't had since that night. And
Exactly.
when he comes to like, and when Sammy's like, you know what, it's been a long time, but that was still the best night of my life, and Smokes,
Yeah.
and then all three of them have that understanding, like
Stuck.
they
Yeah.
all got transported back, and
Exactly. And two things, real quick. Two things that was intentional. The two gold pieces. The two gold pieces was what it was. Y'all know better. That's the two gold pieces that you place over somebody's eyes when they
Guys.
travel over the river of Styx. My
Mhm.
final point is they killed themselves at the end of that movie. Stack and old girl killed themselves.
Mary, yeah,
Mhm.
Mary, because Sammy was literally playing the guitar after they had come in late at night and the sun is out and they speak to Sammy and he was like, yeah, before the sun went down, that was the best night of my life. How about y'all? And he was like, yeah, that was the last time I saw my brother and the last time I saw the sun. And they went out, and if you pay attention, It's the same time of Sun where Remick died, to where it was initially right. They killed themselves. There can be no sequel to this. I watched the movie 3 fucking times. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. They killed themselves. That was their, and they did it on the anniversary of the day that everybody turned. Literally, 100 years later. This is what and I'm not saying that, oh, you niggas is dumb for not knowing it. I'm not talking to y'all. I'm not talking to the peoples, but this is what I'm saying, where it's like media literacy. This is more so me observing it and just finding patterns and being like, yeah, they killed themselves. They died because they didn't have anything else to prove. Because they made it through. What was it? They made it through the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the
It's
60s.
like
They got
60
down to
years
the,
because it's the
yeah.
90s. So it's like 60 years after
Right.
that night.
And as far as racial relations, when it comes to like interracial and romantic relationships and shit like that, this was the best that they had seen it. Also, this is me understanding history. At that point, bro, they killed themselves. They walked out the door, and that's why they treated Sammy the way that they did. They gave him the hug. They gave him the last exhortation as to where it was like, yeah, it's coming for you. Like, death is coming for you. I can remove this pain from you. You can keep touring. You can keep doing what you. This wasn't just a regular Tuesday popping up on Devin like, hey, Devin was good. Da, da, da. Like, no, this is my last good deed in light of my brother protecting you. He gave his life to protect you. It's over with, bro. They died that day. Like, I'm telling you, as a nigga who watched it 3 times, because I'm paying attention, I'm like, damn, okay, what she said is what he said, to where it's like, we're gonna kill y'all. We're gonna kill every last one of y'all, blah, blah, blah. And then the final point, looking at what Stack did when he came back and he was fighting him, at that point when Stack tried to bite his neck and the mojo shit kept him off of Smoke, he knew he couldn't kill him. And Stack was ready to die. That's where Smoke said, I tried to protect you, da da da. And then Stack was sitting back like, oh, you did the best you could. He was ready to die. My bad. This is me ranting again. This is what I be talking about. My bad.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, um, but I'm kind of also seeing this from a religious aspect here when
Mm,
it comes to temptations.
yeah.
Would I be correct in saying that they overall tried to tempt him 3 times?
Ooh, Stack?
Uh, Sammy.
Oh no, no,
Last
that
temptation being, at the very end of the movie there.
no, it was. A lot of that was dealing with the seven deadly sins.
Well, there was. What I'm referring to specifically is like the time that Jesus was basically tempted 3 times.
Yeah.
So I'm kind
Yeah.
of seeing
Okay.
that kind of
My
thrown
bad.
into
Parallel,
that and
yeah.
everything. Between the very first time that they met him and tried to tempt him, the second time when it was revealed that they were vampires and so on and so forth, and tried to tempt him to become a vampire, and then finally that last one towards the very end where it's like, hey, death is coming, so on and so forth. You can avoid that if you want with one final temptation.
Yeah. I could definitely
A
see the
light little thing there.
yeah, I can definitely see the parallel. If I was talking to someone uber religious, I probably wouldn't use that as a talking point, only
Right.
because of the fact that Sammy basically sleeps with the chick that was married.
Yeah,
But
Right.
that's what burned that for me.
yeah, yeah, that's
So
like
It's like,
I was just like,
no, 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 no.
I just happened to think about that. I'm like, oh,
It's a
that's
fair
a
thing
weird
to
little thing.
analyze. I just, if I was analyzing the movie to someone who's like uber religious, I probably wouldn't go there. But
Which is fair.
for people who are willing to actually talk it through, it is a very good part to to you know to analyze. For
Mhm.
me, what I love about Sinners the most is that Ryan Coogler does what a lot of stories unfortunately rely on the concept of franchises or sequels to do is to tell a complete story. He tells a complete story within one movie.
Mm-hmm.
It even circles back around to the point where the second end credits scene where Sammy is playing the guitar, but he's practicing with a Bible hymn, a church song essentially, shows that his foundation, even though it's through the church, he wants to take that with him elsewhere. Which goes back to the fact that his last thing to think of before he dies is to say the Lord's Prayer. Because that shows that his foundation is still through the church, but he loves music and he wants to take this gift that he has and go beyond that. His moniker is Preacher Boy. Like, it's
Yeah,
part of his overall
yeah,
character. And this is why
yeah.
it doesn't work with Remick. Because it's part of his fundamental character and why it was never going to work regardless.
And even the presentation. I'm sorry because I saw this the second time. I saw this the second time when his pops took his guitar from under the bed, took it into the church. His guitar was resting on a table that said "In remembrance of me," which ties directly into communion, where it's like, "Do this in remembrance of me."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my bad. I'm a pastor's kid myself. I'm a preacher's kid myself. So me seeing that, and then after watching the movie the first time, I'm like, oh, that's heavy. That's heavy. Even modeling the last few scenes when the clan shows up and they try and open up the main door to the slaughterhouse and they can't get in. And Sammy walks into the church. And it's like, damn,
Yeah.
that's a level of niggas in secular situations, they're prepared for the bullshit. People in religious standpoints and things like that, they don't even interpret that that's a possibility. And then also looking at the things that Smoke sacrificed and looking at what Sammy sacrificed, and then knowing that Sammy's about to leave, it's like maintain this in from like that shit is like, oh my fucking, like that's where I be getting mad to where it's like, do y'all see what the fuck Ryan Coogler did in front of
Also,
y'all?
also, to bring it back to the guitar, in the beginning of the movie, I always forget. I just remember them by the colors right now. I don't remember which one's Smoke and Stack.
Touche.
I have to watch it multiple times. But the one
That's
in
red.
red.
Red for Stack, Smoke is blue.
Okay, so Stack, when he's driving Sammy, and he initially tells him that the guitar is from like a particular person, but then Smoke tells him later on towards at the end of the movie, like, no, that was our dad's guitar. And then after everything we learn about their dad and how ridiculous he is, the fact it's on the table saying "in remembrance of me" is not about Sammy. It's about the Smokestack
That is
kids.
fucking hard. If you were here in person, I would punch the shit out you. I would punch the shit out you. Yes.
Because
Yes.
the way they grew,
Fucking
because
fire.
at the end of the day, the way they grew up, became men, and tried to do something for the community is in remembrance of the way they lived with their dad. Like, come on!
It's hard. I'm sorry. It's hard. That shit
And
is hard to me.
it all gets passed down to Sammy at the end. Like, come on, man!
and none
Like,
of that stuff, and that's also this is my final point before we get up out of here.
yeah. Before we get up out of here,
My main thing is Christianity as it is presented and displayed to black people in America will never save you whatsoever. When he said, let go of the guitar is the reason that he came back home. Because as soon as he was in that river and he was being baptized and read over the Father's Prayer, he did not let go of it. He killed a fucking vampire. You stupid bitch. Why are you asking them to let go of the only reason that you are here with him right now? Respectfully. And then, in light of him doing that, his cousin had to step in and drive a stake through the heart. All of the prayers did nothing. All of these beautiful things in light of the Asian young woman did nothing. The Bible, in and of itself, says faith without works is dead. Got you. And that's true. You can believe something. If you're not ready to put foot to ass behind it, it doesn't mean anything. With that being said, he believed what he knew and resulted to what he knew would work. At that point in time, that man was literally echoing the Lord's Prayer in front of his face. Cut his face in half. And then when it was done, guess what he did? He took Smoke's advice. He took the man's advice when it came to, hey, get out of here. That was better than his dad did because his dad saw him fucking suffer and saw scars on his face, and this bitch ass nigga tried to utilize that to amp up the sermon. Did his dad ask how he got like that? Why he was scratched up in the face? Why his clothes had blood on it? Why the fuck? No, his dad didn't.
He
Sometimes
weaponized the
where you're
religion.
going is more important than who's there when you leave. Period. In my understanding. But go ahead, Devin. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to finish.
So as we wrap up, any final big picture stuff from us? We just heard Cal's big picture. What's your big picture, Devin?
For
Hey,
the most
if you
part,
don't even have a full one, give us what you got.
Cal, I do agree with your final point there. However, I do feel that part of the reason why that final scene was portrayed the way it was, where, he went back to the father, and yes, it was kind of part of the sermon, it was also supposed to be a nod to the prodigal son. Because in that same exact situation there, it didn't matter, what had happened to the son, what he looked like, and, everything that he had done. He was just the father was supposed to be so overjoyed that his son had come home that that's all that mattered.
But that
So,
didn't that you know that when you take any type of further investigation, that doesn't work.
right.
Because the father of the prodigal son was happy that he was there. He
Mhm.
did not hold him to task whatsoever. And then even the child, the brother of the brother of the prodigal son was pissed off.
Right.
Where did
He
we
brings
see
that
that?
up. Right.
Yeah, like we didn't see that whatsoever. What we saw, he came into the church. His mom called out his name before his dad did.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Bro, my bad. I'm not trying to be an asshole. Um,
It's a
you
good
are
ass
very,
movie.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm very protective of this movie and the interpretation thereof. His mom was the person who was like, save me. And the dad said no. And then went directly to him. He didn't have a brother that spoke up for him, even though we knew he had siblings, correct? At the start of the movie.
Right.
His siblings didn't speak up for him. So no, I love you. This is a misapplication of this. And this is partly why I feel like we get half of the stories that we do from the Bible because of the level of just, okay, cool, we'll accept this and misapply this interpretation to. Love you like cook food, Devin.
Hmm.
But I do, no, that's not what happened. He didn't have a brother that was doing everything upright and operating in the face of God. You see what I'm saying? That's not that. The dad was a shitty nigga. He's a shitty fucking person, bro. He literally used his son Foreman to escalate his sermon.
Right, but I
And that's
think
why I said that. That's why I agree with the main point that you were making
My
because
bad,
of
my
that
bad.
particular portion. Yes.
yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, Devin, but I think what Devin's saying is that it's a juxtaposition of the story. It's not a one to one. It's he's basically using the framework of that story, but in the opposite direction, in the reverse. He goes through the same path, goes back, and the dad doesn't accept him, and that
Mm.
leads him to his purpose, which is also why he never drops the guitar. Like
Right.
Okay.
in an
Okay.
alternate reality version of this movie where like he goes to the father and the father maybe accepts him, there's a chance that he drops the guitar and leads a normal life not in his purpose because his dad accepts him.
Right.
Like that could be another angle the movie went. Obviously it didn't go that way, but it could have been like, you know, a different version of the movie with a different message. So
Mm.
I think that's what Devin's getting at.
Right.
No, no.
That's what eventually leads
What's
to
that?
that
My
final,
bad.
Yeah.
end scene there.
I
Yeah.
misunderstood you, Devin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But yeah, you're good.
Yeah. And for me, this goes to one of my favorite this goes to one of my favorite more parts of like a moral code that I try to live by every day. For me, this movie really touched me in the fact that everything, well, yes, the movie overall is just about how like the movie is basically the ties that bind and how it speaks across generations, but the theme to me that I see as the big picture, at least for me, is that we as a people are supposed to leave, whether it's culture, success, whatever, we're supposed to leave something great for the generations. We're supposed to take what the generations give us, better it, and leave something greater for the generation after us. And I think that Sammy's kind of timeline through the movie is kind of showing that. And I think that for me is the core theme and my favorite part of the movie. We're supposed to take what we learn, better it, and give it to the next generation for them to take a hold. Which is why I love that scene with the music and kind of showing all the generations come together, blend together, and go in their different ways while Sammy's singing. Like because he's the generation that's taking from before, and then he progresses in the end showing that he even knows how to use the electric guitar, but he never forgot how to use an original guitar that when Stack brings it back to him, he's like, can you still play this? He's like, I don't like that like he makes it a point to say I don't like that electric shit. You still know how to play the blues, and he gets the old guitar and he plays it just like he never left, because he took what he learned playing the blues, he bettered it, and he essentially knows how to play current age rock at the time. Like that's the core theme to me with the movie, which is why I love the final scene where it shows Sammy's beginnings of playing by practicing church music. It shows him where he began, where that night encapsulates him as a person, and how he takes that towards the future. That is my big picture of the movie. Take what we learned from the past, better it, push it forward.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think we'll just end with the quote of the night. Initially, I had a fictional scenario, but I don't. I think we can just save that for another time. We've cooked on this episode. We talked about a lot of stuff, and the title of this episode I named "Perception versus Reality" because this is essentially what we deal with in this life. And I think this quote, this movie, the stuff we talked about today, just kind of encapsulates all of it. So, this is a very popular quote by Webb D. Du Bois, or W.E. Du Bois. It is a particular sensation, this double consciousness, the sense of always looking at oneself through the eyes of others, of measuring one by the tape of a world that looks on in amused contempt and pity. On that note, I've been your boy John.
Dev?
This cow.
Peace and love.